Welcome back to the Lawn Care Grandpa channel. I'm here with Jerry McMillan. He's had over 40 years of experience in landscaping, lawn care. I've worked with him for 10 years, and we get a lot of questions. We have a lot of issues that people have with their lawns, and today we're going to be talking about mulch now, and how it affects grass. So we're going to answer some of the questions around that. We're going to talk about mulching grass. We're going to talk about inorganic mulches that go in flower beds, organic mulches, kind of the difference in what you can expect and how grass kind of relates to it. So if you have any other kind of questions about grass or in mulching, put it down in the comments below, and we'll try to make videos about that too. Okay, so let's say you're cutting your grass. It's a little high, and you cut about a third. You never would cut more than a third. But should you leave it on there because it helps, like all the clippings, because it helps the grass to grow, or should you collect them, or should you blow them around? What should you do, you think?
Well, it depends. In your front yard, you want it to look good. So what I do is I'll just raise my lawnmower up and go over it again, and it throws the clippings around. You don't even see them again, but the lawn looks very good. If you want to get them up, a lot of times the grass catcher will make your lawn smooth. Just a lot more work where you have to empty it. If you have a backyard and nobody sees it much, well, leaving the clippings on the lawn will help it to grow and take care of the future thickness of the yard.
So why would the clippings help your grass? Like, is it moisture it's leaving in? Is it protecting seeds or the roots? Or what is it doing?
Well, if you could imagine leaving something on your lawn, and just about anything, a hat or a small floor mat, in just a few days it'll kill the grass underneath it. Well, the grass clippings, when they're too thick, come out of your lawnmower in chunks. They'll kill grass underneath them.
Okay.
So that's why spreading it's good for the lawn.
Okay. So you're spreading it out so that it doesn't, shade everything too much.
Right.
But is there a purpose you would want to leave them on your lawn and not always collect them?
Actually, there's a lot less work leaving it there, and the clippings have food. When they decay, they'll actually feed the lawn.
Okay. Right. And it could absorb more moisture and kind of keep it down there, right?
As long as it's not in big chunks laying on the lawn like something that'll kill the grass underneath it, that's good for it. Leave it as spread out, and it actually will help the lawn in the future.
Okay, so let's say you seeded your lawn. You've aerated it, you've seeded it and all that. Should you mow your grass and leave the clippings on, or should you try to collect them?
Yeah, if you actually blow the leaves in an area where you just seeded and aerated, it's okay, because the clippings will act just like straw to hold them in place and keep birds away from them and hold moisture.
So it's better to leave the clippings on the ground as long as it's not clumping if you've seeded.
Yeah, that could actually help an area that's a bad place that can't get grass hardly to grow. You can use the clippings there.
So now let's talk about another type of mulch, and this is not grass clippings. Now we're talking about mulches that you're going to put maybe in a flower bed. I think the reason you're doing this most of the time is aesthetics, but also to keep other grasses and weeds out. So inorganic mulches, like rubber mulch, that kind of thing. So is that going to help keep grass out of a flower bed?
I think actually if you're going to use inorganic mulch such as rubber or gravel, you want to put a liner underneath it. It's kind of like a felt, because that'll help keep the weeds down, and you don't want your product to be mixing with soil. So like mud and your rubber mulch, that would ruin it. So you're protecting it that way. But that would help keep the weeds down.
Yeah, and then one thing that may help too is as long as you have a sparse spreading of your plants, it's a little easier to spray if you're going to use Roundup in certain areas on those inorganic types.
Yeah, there's a lot of different kind of sprays that kill weeds based on the price. And yes, just like Matt said, you don't want to have a lawn that's flower bed that's thick and try to use the spray, because you'd kill things you didn't want to kill.
Okay, so let's say you've got mulch, and there's different situations. Let's say you do or you don't have the felt underneath it. Can grass grow up through a mulch in a flower bed?
Oh yes, if you don't put a felt underneath it, the rubber mulch or the gravel, either one, weeds will grow through it because it'll even grow sometimes healthier because there'll be moisture underneath these things. So you really want to, you plan on whatever you want to do. If you're going to use a rubber mulch or gravel, you need to put a felt underneath it.
Same thing with like the organic mulch, like pine bark and pine straw and other things like that. It can grow through those if you. Now, let's say you put it super thick. Is that going to deter a lot of that?
It will. If you make it really nice and thick, the grass seeds can't grow.
So what would be thick versus thin? Like how many inches or so?
Well, we use 2 inches to go by to make a flower bed look good. If it's an area where you feel like it's going to be a problem, you can add more, 3 or 4 inches.
Okay, so and that would deter it a lot.
It does. It deters weeds a lot.
Okay, so that's inorganic mulches, but organic mulches, now they deteriorate. So if you leave them on there a long time, it could be even a soil for grasses. So talk about like the inorganic mulches, like what's some best practices and what things you need to look out for, so you're not actually promoting grass growth in your flower beds.
Well, once you've got your flower beds made, you've got your felt underneath it, and you put your rubber mulch or gravel, you probably don't have to do it very often. You can use a blower to clean it out, but if you use pine straw or you use wood mulch, then you're going to have to redo it ever so often so it'll look new.
Because as they deteriorate, they're going to kind of create soil, right?
Right. Either one of them will begin to deteriorate but basically work into the soil, and they'll increase like dirt.
So then you always have about every year. When do you normally put it on and that each year to keep it up?
I think everybody's a little different. Some people will do it several times a year. Usually when we clean out leaves and get the leaves out of the lawn, at that point we'll start dressing up flower beds with whatever kind of mulch we want to put in them. There's no debris going to get back in them. So it's going to look good for a while, and you do it every few months or sometimes every few weeks just to have a nice new look.
Now, let's say you got inorganic mulches like stone or mostly rubber mulch. You really wouldn't have to do that as long as you're not letting it. As long as it's not moving around.
Right. We've seen that a lot of places. If you've got a felt underneath it, and then you put this rubber mulch on top of it, as long as it doesn't get a lot of debris in it, it's going to look new indefinitely. So what we do, we just use a blower to kind of blow it out lightly, and it'll stay looking the same a long time.
Well, thank you for coming by and letting us ramble about mulching and grass clippings and that kind of thing. We hope you liked the video and it's helped you out. If you did like it, click like and subscribe, and maybe you can see some more of our videos. And if you have any questions specifically about landscaping or lawn care, leave them down in the comments, and we'll see if we can make a video about it and answer your questions. But I'm glad you came by, and I hope to see you next time.
Well, again, I enjoyed talking about the things I've done for years, so any questions, we'll try to answer them.